Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, President Emmanuel Macron announces a future reduction of France's military operations in the Sahel, saying that France's existing Barkhane force needs profound transformation. Also, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announces what he's calling significant reforms to the energy sector by opening up to more private companies. It's welcome news to a nation that's been plagued by rolling blackouts for years. And the Garden of Africa, a special cemetery for migrants who've died trying to make it to Europe by crossing the Mediterranean, has been inaugurated in Tunisia. The resting place was created by an Algerian artist who wanted to pay respects to those often unidentified souls recovered from the seas. But first, France is going to reduce its military presence in fighting Islamic extremism in the Sahel. On Thursday, President Emmanuel Macron said that Operation Barkhane, which keeps around 5,000 plus troops in the region, will end and be replaced by a mission that relies more on regional partners. Nicholas Rushworth has more.
He is drawing down French forces battling Islamist militants in West Africa. France's counter-terrorism operation Barkhane in the Sahel region will come to an end and merge into a broader international force.
We will carry out a profound transformation of our military presence in the Sahel. The transformation will lead to a new framework. Operation Barkhane ends as an external operation to enable a support and cooperation mission involving the armies of countries in the region who wish to be involved.
Details will be unveiled in the coming weeks, including on the number of troops France is keeping in the region. It currently has more than 5,000 in place, supporting forces from several African countries. The announcement comes days after France stopped military operations in Mali. A second coup there has complicated relations with Paris.
We can't carry out joint operations with authorities who decide to talk to groups which fire on our children. I do not know how to explain to the parents of a French soldier that died in the line of duty that I am sending his brothers in arms alongside armies that decide to negotiate with the attackers.
The French move could force the Sahel security issue onto the G7 agenda, with the region seen as a major risk because of the growing strength of jihadist groups there.
Well, Central African Republic's Prime Minister has resigned. Firmin Ngubada was appointed to the job as part of a peace deal that has unravelled since it was struck in 2019. The unstable country has seen bouts of intercommunal fighting since 2013, and clashes spiked again in 2020 after rebels tried to march on the capital, Bangui. The government struggled to assert control of the myriad of armed groups destabilising the nation. Critics of Ngubada have also accused him of being too close to the Kremlin, which has growing influence in Central African Republic. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced what he's called significant reforms to the energy sector by opening it more up to private companies. Generating capacity restrictions will be eased for private plants, meaning more could beef up and even build facilities under the new rules. Surplus power could be sold to the ailing state company Eskom. It currently produces 90% of electricity, but has struggled to keep the lights on. Years of rolling power cuts have hobbled the economy. Jane Flanagan tells us that it's about time that big changes were brought in.
So the announcement today by Cyril Ramaphosa was not widely expected, but it's long overdue. Eskom, the national power provider, is bankrupt. The national grid simply can't cope with the demand of the country, and we are suffering these rolling blackouts, so-called load shedding, where parts of the national grid have to shut down in order to prevent it from complete collapse. Eskom is bankrupt. It is owed billions of rand, and it owes billions of rand. It's absolutely weighted down by debt. Cyril Ramaphosa has been coming under enormous pressure to free up businesses and municipalities to make their own arrangements to generate power. And today he announced he would sweep aside a lot of the red tape that has prevented that from happening. It's being seen more widely as a sign that perhaps he is willing to push through some radical reforms which may actually not be very popular with his own party, but will be widely welcomed by many South Africans.
Well, staying with South Africa, in the Highveld region, air pollution causes thousands of deaths every year. In 2019, environmentalists brought a case against the government and called for tighter restrictions on the coal industry. Last month, this case, the first of its kind in South Africa, finally made it to court. Our correspondents report.
Emalahleni, a town whose name translates as the place of coal, is surrounded by mines and power stations like these. Mbali lives here with her 2 young children. They have both developed asthma.
We are breathing dirty air each and every day. And this make us sick and make our children sick.
Emalahleni sits in an area of northern South Africa known as the Highveld. A 2019 government report found that illegal levels of air pollution here were responsible for close to 10,000 premature deaths annually. 2 environmental organisations have taken the government to court, arguing that their constitutional right to a clean environment has been violated. They are demanding tighter regulations.
This air pollution is happening here in the community, not to the owners of the mines, but it affects the community. That is why, as we are standing for the community, we have to do this.
The government is opposing the legal challenge. The Environment Minister telling us that responsibility lies with the municipal authorities.
Obviously, licensing of power stations or any other institution that emits emissions is a revenue generation activity. But we're saying to them, you can't just be generating revenue and not doing anything about the air qualities.
It could be months before the court in Pretoria gives judgment on the Highveld's deadly air problem.
Now, the head of UNESCO recently visited Tunisia to inaugurate a special cemetery for migrants who've died trying to make it into Europe by crossing the Mediterranean's dangerous waters. The resting place was created by an Algerian artist who's called it the Garden of Africa. Rashid Karachi wanted to pay respects to those often unidentified souls whose bodies are recovered from the seas by Tunisian authorities. Our team tells us more.
5 olive trees to symbolize the pillars of Islam and vines spread along the walls evoking the 12 apostles of Christ. In this multi-faith cemetery, Algerian artist Rashid Kouraichi wanted to offer a dignified burial for those who died trying to cross the sea.
D'ailleurs, je l'ai appelé Jardin d'Afrique, je n'ai pas appelé Cimetière d'Afrique, Jardin d'Afrique. En lisant les textes coraniques et dans aussi l'Ancien et le Nouveau Testament, les plantes du paradis.
But partly built tombs, symbols of tragedy, mark the peaceful greenery.
Tu as cet endroit-là, là, et là, ça c'est une tombe. Donc, la tombe est en dessous.
About 200 people are already buried here. This cemetery, built on 2 levels of underground graves, has a capacity of 600.
On le voit visuellement. Par exemple, les corps sont arrivés les derniers. Donc, on voit cela, il y a juste une stèle avec des codes dessus pour qu'on les repère. Derrière, c'est les mêmes qui sont arrivés aussi, dans la mer Noyade malheureusement, mais on a déjà commencé à leur structurer physiquement les tombes.
Many of the unfinished headstones display no names. Most are for unidentified sub-Saharan Africans.
Le corps est arrivé à rire. Et c'est un bébé. Donc la plaque, elle est là, et on va rajouter après, donc, dessus, le code ADN.
A DNA code helps families recover bodies. For Rashid, this place is a gift which he paid for out of pocket.
J'enterre des gens, alors que c'est pas mon job, c'est vrai, je suis artiste, mais en même temps, ceux qui respectent les morts respectent les vivants. Ça, pour moi, c'est fondamental.
According to him, the Zarzis municipality needed help because existing cemeteries were already overcrowded.
نقولوا احنا التراب عالي هيك تردم سنين بعد 5 سنين تعاود تجهر وتخدم معناتها ما يقارب 1025 جثة في المقبرة هاي قريبة لهني موجودة.
According to the UN, 557 people have died this year alone trying to cross the Mediterranean from Africa to Europe in rickety boats that don't always make it.
The Zimbabwean writer has won this year's Pinter Prize. Tsitsi Dangaremga's latest novel, This Mournable Body, was also shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year. This latest award was established in memory of Nobel laureate and UK playwright Harold Pinter and is given annually to a writer resident in the UK, Ireland or Commonwealth who spotlights truth in life and society. Dangarengbe has become a critic of Zimbabwe's government and was arrested last year for her activism against corruption under Robert Mugabe, who's run the country since 1980. And we wrap up with a taste of Gabonese cuisine with chef Merlin Ella. He's an avid promoter of Afro-fusion cuisine and is now prepping for a tour through France to whet the taste buds in cities throughout the country. Our team went to meet him in Libreville before he set off.
Merlin Ella comes to this market in Libreville to buy food every morning. Today, the talented 34-year-old Gabonese cook is visiting the market to buy the best local products for his recipes.
Je vais prendre un kumu, les champignons, oui, pour 500.
Kumu is a natural plant unique to the Gabonese forest. It has therapeutic virtues. Merlin uses his cuisine to bring out the best of local ingredients.
On a des bons produits ici. Nous avons tout ce qui est bio, tout ce qui est frais.
Further along from the market, in this kitchen, the chef and his team are preparing a meal, smoked crayfish stock, a traditional popular meal that Merlin revisits by adding the famous plant. Local flavors, fine gastronomy recipes, enough to win over dozens of Merlin's customers.
Je le préfère chez le chef Merlin parce que il le fait bien comme j'aime, pas trop épicé, pas trop lourd. C'est une spécialité gabonaise qui est appréciée de tous et qui provient des provinces dont je fais partie.
Merlin's culinary expertise has earned him several awards across Gabon and across Africa. Back at home, Merlin dreams of promoting Gabonese cuisine around the world. He's due to take part in an online workshop for African cooks, a platform for culinary debates and demonstrations.
Ce rendez-vous est vraiment une aubaine pour la cuisine gabonaise. Je dirais pas pour moi, mais pour la cuisine gabonaise. Enfin, du côté de la France, en Europe, notre cuisine sera présentée aux grandes tables.
Like fashion, Gabonese cuisine is gaining popularity across the world, an encouraging sign for Gabon's food industry.
Well, that's it for Iron Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.